There was a time in my life when I believed wealth belonged to other people. It belonged to those born lucky, to those who seemed to glide through life as if invisible doors opened before them. Meanwhile, I struggled. If you are reading these words, perhaps you know this feeling too. Perhaps you have worked hard, prayed sincerely, hoped deeply, yet something always seemed just out of reach. Money came and went like a restless wind. Opportunities appeared but dissolved before they could take root. And quietly, almost without noticing, you began to wonder if abundance simply was not meant for you. I once believed that. But one evening, during a moment of quiet reflection, I discovered something that would transform my life completely. It was not a complicated philosophy. It was not a secret locked inside a temple or hidden within ancient manuscripts. It was simply 7 words that awakened a truth that had been waiting inside me all along. Because the truth is this: you were never meant to struggle endlessly. You were never created to live in fear of lack. The universe, or as I lovingly call it, the divine mind, is not a place of scarcity. It is an ocean of infinite supply. The problem is not that abundance is absent. The problem is that most of us have forgotten how to claim it. That night, I realized that wealth is not first created in banks, businesses, or investments. It is created in consciousness. It is spoken into existence through belief, expectation, and identity. And the 7 words that awaken this realization were built upon 3 powerful spiritual keys. 3 simple words, 3 living forces: wealth, power, faith. These words may appear ordinary at first glance, but when spoken with awareness, when repeated with conviction, they become something extraordinary. They become keys that unlock your divine inheritance, for the universe responds not to what you wish for, but to what you declare yourself to be. For years, I had unknowingly declared poverty. I said things like, "I can't afford that. Money is hard to make. Life is a struggle." Every complaint was a spell. Every fearful sentence was a command to the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is the great builder of reality. It obeys every word we speak. Once I understood this, everything changed. Instead of speaking lack, I began speaking truth. Instead of repeating fear, I began repeating power. And slowly, quietly at first, the world around me began to respond. Opportunities appeared. Unexpected help arrived. Ideas flowed like clear water. The change did not come from force. It came from alignment. Because wealth is not something you chase. Wealth is something you allow. And the 7 words that opened this door for me were spoken each morning with calm certainty. I claim my wealth, power, and faith now. 7 words, yet within them lives a transformation so profound that it can reshape an entire destiny. When spoken sincerely, they awaken a deep remembrance within the soul, a remembrance that you are not a beggar in the universe. You are a child of infinite supply. And from that moment forward, a new identity begins to form. You no longer ask timidly for abundance. You stand firmly in the truth that it already belongs to you. I began repeating the words throughout my day, while walking, while working, while resting, sometimes aloud, sometimes silently. And gradually something miraculous occurred. My thoughts softened. My fears loosened their grip. My vision expanded. For the first time, I did not feel like someone trying to reach wealth. I felt like someone remembering it. Because wealth is not merely money. Wealth is confidence. Wealth is clarity. Wealth is peace. Wealth is the quiet certainty that life is working with you, not against you. And the three master words began to echo through my life like a sacred rhythm. Wealth, power, faith. Each word awakened something deeper. Each word restored a forgotten part of my spiritual authority. And if you are reading this now, something within you may already be stirring. Perhaps a quiet voice inside is whispering, could it really be this simple? Yes, because divine laws are always simple. Truth is never complicated. What is complicated is the maze of doubt we have been taught to believe. But once the mind is freed, once the heart begins to trust again, a new path unfolds. And that path begins with a declaration that the universe hears immediately, a declaration that your subconscious mind begins building instantly, a declaration that shifts your identity from seeker to receiver. And so we begin with this affirmation, the first step into your divine inheritance. I am wealth. I am power. I am faith. And with these words, the door begins to open. The law behind the words. There is a law at work in this universe that many people sense, but few truly understand. It is a law quieter than gravity, yet just as powerful. It does not shout. It does not demand attention. Yet every moment of every day, it is shaping the circumstances of our lives with perfect obedience. This law responds to consciousness expressed through words. The ancient teachers understood it. Mystics whispered about it. Prophets declared it in sacred language when they said that life and death are in the power of the tongue. Yet modern people often overlook this simple truth. Words are not merely sounds. Words are creative instructions. Every sentence you speak becomes a command delivered to the deeper levels of your mind. And the subconscious mind does not argue. It does not judge. It simply accepts the command and begins to construct reality around it. This is why two people can live in the same city, walk the same streets, and yet experience completely different lives. One complains constantly, the other declares possibility. One speaks fear, the other speaks certainty. And quietly, steadily, the law responds to both of them with perfect accuracy. I remember when this understanding first entered my awareness. At the time, my life felt like a series of disappointments. Each month, I wondered whether there would be enough money. Each opportunity seemed fragile, as if success belonged to someone else's story, but not mine. One afternoon, I sat beside a window, watching the rain fall slowly against the glass. Something about that quiet moment invited reflection. I began to listen to my own speech, and what I heard shocked me. I noticed how often I said things like, "Money is difficult. I'm always struggling. Nothing ever works out." Each sentence seemed harmless when spoken casually, but suddenly I realized that I had been programming my own reality with these words. My speech had been shaping my destiny without my awareness. And in that moment, a profound understanding dawned upon me. If negative words can create limitation, then positive declarations can create liberation. The law itself is neutral. It simply responds. That was the day I began experimenting with the three master words that would eventually change everything: wealth, power, faith. At first, I spoke them softly, almost shyly. They felt unfamiliar because they contradicted the old identity I had carried for so long. But something within me recognized their truth. And every time I spoke them, I felt a subtle shift inside my consciousness. The mind began to lift. Hope began to breathe again. Because these words are not merely hopeful ideas, they are spiritual realities that already exist within you. Wealth is the natural condition of the universe. Look at the abundance of nature: forests, oceans, stars scattered endlessly through space. Creation itself demonstrates that supply is infinite. Power is the creative authority placed within every human being. It is the ability to direct thought, belief, and intention toward a chosen result. Faith is the bridge that allows invisible possibility to become visible experience. When these three forces unite within consciousness, something remarkable occurs. Life begins to reorganize. Opportunities appear where none seemed possible before. People enter your life at precisely the right moment. Ideas arise that lead naturally toward prosperity. This is not coincidence. This is the law responding to identity. For the universe does not respond to begging. It responds to recognition. When you recognize yourself as aligned with wealth, the path toward wealth begins revealing itself. When you recognize your inner power, circumstances begin to mirror that authority. When you rest in faith, the anxiety that once blocked abundance dissolves. In the beginning, I practiced this awareness quietly. Each morning, before the world's noise could enter my thoughts, I repeated the 7 words slowly. I claim my wealth, power, and faith now. Then I listened, not with my ears, but with my inner awareness. Gradually, I noticed something extraordinary. My mind stopped racing with worry. Instead of fearing what might go wrong, I began expecting what could go right. An expectation is one of the most powerful creative forces in existence because the subconscious mind builds exactly what it expects to see. Soon, small miracles began appearing. A payment arrived earlier than expected. A new opportunity opened. A conversation led to a possibility that had never crossed my mind. These moments were not dramatic explosions of success. They were gentle confirmations that the law was responding, like seeds pushing through soil after the first rain. Each small result strengthened my belief. Each repetition of the 3 words deepened their power within me. And over time, something even more important changed. My identity shifted. I no longer felt like someone trying desperately to escape lack. I felt like someone awakening to a birthright, the birthright of abundance. And this realization brought a calm confidence that could not be shaken by temporary circumstances. Because once you understand this law, you realize something extraordinary. Your present situation is not your final reality. It is only the reflection of past thoughts and words. And if past words created the present, new words can create a new future. This is the sacred opportunity that lives within the 3 master words. Every time you speak them with sincerity, you are planting seeds in the soil of consciousness, seeds that will inevitably grow. Seeds that will eventually appear as opportunities, relationships, and financial blessings. But most importantly, they will grow into a new self-image. And self-image is the true source of every result in life. When you see yourself as wealthy in spirit, wealth begins moving toward you. When you see yourself as powerful in mind, solutions begin revealing themselves. When you live with faith in the unseen good, life becomes a pathway of unfolding miracles. So let the words sink deeper now. Allow them to echo through your awareness like a quiet but unstoppable river. Say them slowly. Feel their truth expanding within you. I am wealth. I am power. I am faith. And as you continue this journey, you will discover that these words are not merely affirmations. They are awakenings. They are the voice of your true identity returning. The first word, wealth. There is a strange misunderstanding that has quietly shaped the lives of millions. Many people believe wealth is something outside of them. They imagine it as numbers in a bank account, as houses, possessions, or fortunate opportunities that somehow belong only to the lucky few. But this belief hides a deeper truth. Wealth is not something you chase. Wealth is something you become aware of. The moment I began to understand this, the entire concept of prosperity changed for me. I realized that wealth is not created in the marketplace first. It is created within the state of consciousness a person occupies. Before money ever appears, there must first be the awareness of wealth. Think about the great forests of the earth. No tree stands in the forest worrying about whether there will be enough sunlight tomorrow. The river does not wonder if there will be enough water to keep flowing. Nature expresses abundance effortlessly because it is connected to the endless supply of life itself. Human beings were created from that same infinite source. Yet somewhere along the way, many of us accepted the idea of limitation. We began speaking the language of scarcity. I can't afford it. There isn't enough. Money is difficult. Each of these phrases may appear harmless, yet they act like quiet commands issued to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind, faithful and obedient, begins arranging life to match those instructions. For years, I unknowingly repeated these very sentences. I spoke them casually, even jokingly, never realizing the invisible consequences they carried. But once I began practicing the 3 master words, something remarkable began to shift inside my awareness. The word wealth slowly awakened a new understanding. Wealth is not merely money. Wealth is alignment with infinite supply. It is the quiet knowing that life itself is generous. When you say the word wealth with sincerity, you are not simply describing financial success. You are reminding your subconscious mind of its natural connection to abundance. At first, this may feel unusual. The mind might resist, whispering old beliefs that say wealth is rare or difficult. But persistence has a beautiful power. Every time you repeat the word wealth, you are planting a seed. And seeds do not grow instantly. They grow quietly beneath the surface, preparing themselves for the moment when they break through into visible life. The same is true of prosperity. When I began repeating the word wealth daily, I noticed subtle changes in my thinking. My attention moved away from what I lacked and toward what was possible. Ideas began arriving. New ways of seeing opportunities appeared. Even my posture changed, as if some deeper confidence had begun to rise within me. This is because the word wealth is not merely descriptive. It is creative. It instructs the subconscious mind to look for evidence of abundance everywhere. And the subconscious mind, once given a clear instruction, becomes a tireless architect of reality. Soon I began to experience moments that felt almost magical. A forgotten opportunity returned. A project unexpectedly succeeded. A conversation opened a door I had never imagined. These events were not accidents. They were reflections of a new internal atmosphere. Because when consciousness shifts toward wealth, life reorganizes itself around that vibration. And so the word wealth became my daily companion. Sometimes I spoke it quietly in the morning. Sometimes I whispered it before sleep. Sometimes I simply held the feeling of wealth within my awareness as I walked through the day. And with each repetition, the old belief in scarcity loosened its grip. In its place grew something far more powerful: expectation. Expectation is the soil where prosperity grows. When you expect wealth, your mind begins recognizing opportunities that previously seemed invisible. When you expect abundance, your creativity awakens. When you expect good things, your actions naturally align with success. This is why the word wealth is so transformative. It does not merely promise money. It restores the identity of abundance. An identity is everything, for the world does not respond to who you wish you were. It responds to who you believe you are. So if you believe you are someone struggling to survive, life will continue presenting circumstances that confirm that identity. But when you begin declaring yourself wealthy in spirit, something extraordinary happens. The mind expands, possibilities multiply, confidence replaces hesitation. And gradually, the outer world begins reflecting the inner declaration. This transformation does not require force. It requires recognition. Recognition that wealth is your natural condition as a creative being connected to infinite supply. And every time you speak the word wealth, you are strengthening that recognition. You are reminding yourself that the universe is not withholding abundance from you. It has been waiting for you to claim it. So speak the word now with calm certainty. Let it settle into your consciousness like sunlight warming the earth. Feel the quiet authority it carries, and repeat these affirmations slowly, allowing each sentence to become part of your identity. I am wealth. Wealth flows toward me naturally and easily. My mind recognizes opportunities everywhere. Abundance surrounds me in visible and invisible forms. Money, ideas, and support arrive exactly when they are needed. The universe delights in expressing prosperity through me. I welcome wealth into every area of my life. And now, breathe deeply and allow the final affirmation of this section to echo through your awareness. I am wealth. I live in wealth. I create wealth. And as this truth settles into your mind, the foundation of your new life begins to form. The second word, power. After the word wealth began to awaken abundance within my awareness, another realization slowly emerged, one that was equally important, yet even more profound. It was the realization that wealth alone is not enough if a person does not recognize their power. Many people secretly believe they are powerless. They think life happens to them rather than through them. They believe circumstances control their destiny, that luck determines success, and that the world is governed by forces beyond their influence. But this belief is one of the greatest illusions ever accepted by the human mind. Because the truth is far more extraordinary. You possess a creative authority that operates every moment of your life. It is the power to choose your thoughts, the power to direct your attention, the power to speak words that shape the invisible blueprint from which reality is formed. Most people use this power unconsciously. They worry, they complain, they repeat the language of fear, and without realizing it, they are exercising their creative authority in the direction of limitation. But when the word power enters your awareness with clarity, something begins to change. You remember that you are not merely a passenger in life. You are a creator of experience. When I first began repeating the word power, I did not fully understand its depth. I simply sensed that it carried a quiet strength that my spirit recognized. At first, it felt unusual to say it. I am power. The mind hesitated. Old beliefs whispered, "Who do you think you are?" Yet something deeper within me knew that this hesitation was simply the echo of old conditioning. And so I continued. Every morning I repeated the declaration with calm confidence. I claim my wealth, power, and faith now. Gradually, the word power began transforming the way I saw myself. I noticed that I stopped blaming circumstances for my situation. Instead of feeling discouraged when problems appeared, I began asking a different question. What creative solution is waiting to be discovered? This single shift in thinking awakened a new energy within me. Because power is not loud, power is not forceful. True power is clarity. It is the calm certainty that you have the ability to influence your experience through the direction of your mind. Once this awareness awakens, life begins to feel very different. Challenges no longer appear as obstacles. They appear as invitations to use your creative authority. You begin speaking differently. Instead of saying, "This will never work," you say, "A solution is already forming." Instead of saying, "I am stuck," you say, "A new path is opening." And the subconscious mind, hearing these commands, begins working tirelessly to make them true. The word power reminds you that your mind is not passive. Your mind is generative. Every thought you accept becomes a seed. Every belief you repeat becomes a blueprint. Every declaration you speak becomes a direction for reality to follow. Once I fully embraced this understanding, I noticed that even my posture changed. I walked differently. I spoke with more calm certainty, not arrogance, not force, just quiet confidence. Because power does not need to prove itself, it simply exists. Soon the effects began appearing around me. As situations that once intimidated me felt manageable, conversations became easier. Opportunities appeared where I had previously seen none. The outer world had not suddenly changed. My relationship to it had changed. And that is the essence of power. Power is the realization that you are not defined by your past circumstances. You are defined by the consciousness you choose in this moment. When you declare power, you are not dominating life. You are aligning with the creative intelligence that flows through all things. And once that alignment occurs, you begin moving with a natural confidence that others can feel. People respond differently. Doors open more easily. Solutions appear faster. Not because you forced them, but because your mind is now operating from authority rather than fear. So allow the word power to settle deeply within you. Let it become a quiet companion that reminds you of your creative role in the universe. Speak it slowly now, allowing its meaning to expand inside your awareness. Power does not mean controlling everything. Power means directing your consciousness toward what you choose to create. And with that understanding, repeat these affirmations gently but firmly. I am power. My thoughts shape my experience. My words direct the energy of my life. Creative ideas flow to me naturally. I move through the world with confidence and clarity. Every challenge reveals a hidden opportunity. The universe responds to my conscious intention. And now allow the rhythm of the three master words to unite again within your mind, because wealth without power feels uncertain. But wealth with power becomes inevitable. So repeat these declarations slowly and feel their truth expanding within you. I am wealth. I am power. Wealth flows through my power. My power attracts wealth. And as this realization deepens, you begin stepping into a life that is no longer ruled by circumstances. It is guided by conscious creation, and the journey is only beginning. The third word, faith. If wealth awakens abundance, and power awakens creative authority, then the third word awakens the force that makes both of them unshakable. That word is faith. Faith is often misunderstood. Many imagine it as blind belief or hopeful wishing. They think faith means pretending everything is fine while secretly fearing that nothing will change. But true faith is something entirely different. Faith is spiritual certainty. It is the quiet knowing that the unseen forces of life are already working on your behalf, even when the evidence has not yet appeared. When I first began practicing the three master words, wealth gave me hope and power gave me confidence. Yet there were still moments when my old doubts tried to return. Perhaps you have experienced this too. You speak affirmations. You imagine a better future. But then a bill arrives unexpectedly. A delay appears, or someone says something discouraging, and suddenly the mind begins asking questions again. Is this really working? Am I fooling myself? These moments are natural. They are simply the echo of old beliefs leaving the mind. And this is exactly where faith becomes the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Because faith does not depend on circumstances. Faith exists before circumstances change. I remember a particular season in my life when this lesson became very real. I had been practicing the 7 words for several weeks. My thinking had changed, and I felt a new sense of calm confidence. Yet outwardly, my financial situation had not shifted dramatically yet. On one evening, I sat quietly and asked myself an honest question. Do I truly believe abundance is coming? For a moment, silence answered. Then something deep inside responded with gentle clarity. Faith is not waiting for proof. Faith creates the proof. In that moment, I understood something that changed my entire practice. Faith is the spiritual atmosphere where miracles grow. Just as seeds require soil to grow into plants, the seeds of wealth and power require faith to become visible results. Without faith, affirmations remain words. With faith, they become creative commands. So I began strengthening the third word in my daily awareness. Every morning, after declaring wealth and power, I allowed the word faith to settle deeply within my mind. I spoke it slowly, softly, almost like a sacred promise. Faith. And as I repeated it, I imagined the unseen forces of life rearranging themselves in perfect harmony. Opportunities moving quietly toward me, ideas forming in the invisible, doors preparing to open at the exact right moment. Faith allowed me to relax. Instead of forcing life to change, I trusted that change was already unfolding. This calm trust created a new emotional state within me. Fear lost its voice. Impatience softened. Hope became steady rather than fragile. And gradually, the outer world began responding. Unexpected solutions appeared. People arrived with helpful ideas. Financial opportunities that once seemed impossible began taking shape. But more importantly, I noticed something profound within myself. Even before these external results appeared, I already felt rich in certainty. That is the true gift of faith. Faith transforms your inner world long before it transforms your outer one. And when the inner world changes, the outer world has no choice but to follow, because life mirrors the consciousness that lives within you. Faith is also the force that dissolves fear. Fear whispers that you are alone. Faith reminds you that you are supported by an infinite intelligence that governs the entire universe. Fear says the path is uncertain. Faith says the path is unfolding perfectly. Fear says you must struggle. Faith says you must trust and allow. Once faith becomes part of your identity, you stop reacting to temporary appearances. Instead, you stand calmly in the knowledge that good is already on its way. This calm expectation sends a powerful message to your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind responds by organizing circumstances to match that expectation. So now the three master words begin working together in harmony. Wealth awakens abundance. Power directs your creative authority. Faith ensures that the invisible process continues until the result becomes visible. Together, they form an unbreakable spiritual formula. A formula that transforms the way you experience life. And as you repeat these affirmations, allow the feeling of trust to fill your awareness like gentle sunlight. I am faith. The universe is always working in my favor. Invisible forces guide me toward abundance. Every delay hides a greater opportunity. Every step I take is supported by divine intelligence. My future is unfolding in perfect harmony. Wealth comes to me through the power of faith. And now let the three master words unite again with calm certainty. I am wealth. I am power. I am faith. Wealth flows through my power. Power is guided by my faith. Faith opens the path for wealth. And as this realization settles into your consciousness, a quiet transformation begins. You are no longer hoping for abundance. You are expecting it. And expectation is the doorway through which miracles quietly enter the world, breaking the old spells of lack. Before the words wealth, power, and faith can fully transform your life, something important must happen. The old language of limitation must lose its authority. Most people do not realize that the greatest barrier to abundance is not the economy, not the circumstances of life, and not even the lack of opportunity. The greatest barrier is habitual speech. For years, sometimes decades, we repeat sentences that quietly reinforce the very conditions we wish to escape. Listen carefully to ordinary conversation, and you will hear these invisible spells everywhere. I'm always broke. Money disappears as soon as I get it. Nothing ever works for me. I can't afford that. These phrases may seem casual, even humorous, yet they carry tremendous creative influence. Because the subconscious mind accepts every repeated statement as truth. And once the subconscious accepts a belief, it begins shaping reality to confirm that belief. This is why so many people unknowingly trap themselves inside cycles of lack. They are not cursed by fate. They are simply repeating words that reinforce scarcity. Years ago, before I understood the power of language, I spoke this way constantly. If a bill arrived unexpectedly, I would sigh and say, "Of course, this always happens to me." If an opportunity seemed uncertain, I would say, "It probably won't work." Each of these sentences felt harmless at the time, yet together they formed a powerful pattern inside my subconscious mind. That pattern became my experience. The day I discovered the three master words, I also discovered something equally important. Complaints are creative commands. Every complaint instructs the subconscious mind to produce more of what you dislike. When you say, "I never have enough money," the subconscious hears a clear directive, and it faithfully arranges life to keep that statement true. But here is the beautiful news. The same law that creates limitation can also create liberation. The moment you become aware of your speech, you gain the ability to transform it. At first, this awareness may feel surprising. You will begin noticing how often negative phrases try to slip into your conversations. Perhaps you will start to say something like, "This is impossible." Then suddenly pause. And in that pause, you remember the three master words: wealth, power, faith. That moment of awareness is powerful. It is the moment when unconscious habits lose their control. Instead of repeating the old phrase, you choose a new declaration. Instead of saying, "I'm struggling," you say, "A new opportunity is forming." Instead of saying, "I can't afford it," you say, "Wealth is moving toward me." Instead of saying, "Nothing works," you say, "The perfect solution is unfolding." At first, this change may feel like a small adjustment, but in reality, it is a profound shift in creative direction, because every sentence becomes a seed planted in the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind grows whatever you plant. Imagine two gardens. One gardener plants seeds of doubt, fear, and complaint. The other plants seeds of wealth, power, and faith. Which garden will eventually bloom with abundance? Life works the same way. The words you speak become the seeds of your future. Breaking old patterns requires gentle persistence. It is not necessary to criticize yourself when negative thoughts appear. Simply replace them, quietly, consistently, patiently. Each time you replace a limiting statement with a powerful one, you are strengthening a new mental pathway. Over time, this new pathway becomes natural. Soon you will notice something wonderful. The language of abundance begins flowing effortlessly. Instead of searching for hopeful words, your mind automatically chooses them. Instead of expecting problems, you expect solutions. And once this transformation takes root, your emotional state changes as well. Fear begins to dissolve. Confidence grows naturally. You feel lighter, calmer, and more optimistic about the future. This emotional shift is important because emotions amplify the power of words. When words and emotions align, the subconscious mind receives a clear instruction, and the clearer the instruction, the faster reality responds. So the practice becomes simple. Observe your language. When a negative phrase appears, gently replace it with a declaration of wealth, power, and faith. Over time, you will discover that the old spells of lack lose their influence completely. Your mind becomes a place where prosperity is the natural expectation. And once this expectation becomes stable, life begins reflecting it in visible ways. Opportunities appear more frequently. Solutions arrive faster. Even unexpected blessings begin to emerge. All because the language of your consciousness has changed. Now take a moment to repeat these affirmations slowly. Allow them to replace every old pattern that once lived in your mind. I release every word of limitation. My language now creates abundance. Every sentence I speak invites prosperity. My mind chooses wealth over lack. My thoughts express power instead of fear. My heart rests in faith instead of doubt. The universe responds to my new declarations. And now let the three master words unite once again. I am wealth. I am power. I am faith. My words create wealth. My mind directs power. My heart lives in faith. And as these declarations settle deeply into your consciousness, the old patterns quietly fade away. In their place, a new reality begins to grow. The daily practice of the three words. Once you understand the power of wealth, power, and faith, the next step is learning how to weave them naturally into your daily life. Transformation does not occur through occasional inspiration. It occurs through consistent practice. Just as a seed must be watered daily before it becomes a tree, the consciousness of abundance must be nourished regularly before it becomes visible prosperity. Fortunately, the practice of the three master words is simple. It does not require complicated rituals or long hours of effort. What it requires is presence and repetition. Because repetition is the language through which the subconscious mind learns. The subconscious mind accepts what is repeated with feeling as truth. Once it accepts that truth, it begins shaping the outer world to reflect it. So the daily practice becomes a gentle rhythm that guides your consciousness toward abundance throughout the day. The first moment of this practice begins in the morning. Morning is powerful because the mind is still quiet. The noise of the world has not yet filled your thoughts. In those first few minutes after waking, your subconscious mind is especially receptive. Before checking messages, before speaking to anyone, sit quietly and breathe slowly. Then speak the 7 words with calm certainty. I claim my wealth, power, and faith now. Repeat them slowly several times. Allow each word to settle into your awareness like sunlight warming the earth. As you say wealth, imagine abundance flowing into every area of your life. See opportunities forming, resources arriving, and prosperity expanding around you. As you say power, feel your mind becoming clear and strong. Recognize your ability to direct your thoughts and shape your experience. As you say faith, feel a deep sense of trust filling your heart. Know that the universe is already arranging circumstances in your favor. This simple morning practice sets the tone of your entire day. Instead of beginning the day with worry or distraction, you begin with alignment, and alignment attracts opportunity. Throughout the day, the practice continues in smaller moments. You do not need to stop everything you are doing. The 3 words can quietly accompany you wherever you go. While walking, you can repeat them silently. While waiting in line, you can recall them gently. Even during a conversation or a task, you can hold their meaning quietly within your awareness. These small repetitions may seem insignificant, yet they accumulate tremendous influence. Each repetition strengthens the identity you are building. Each repetition reinforces the idea that abundance is natural for you. Over time, the 3 words begin to appear in your mind automatically. When a challenge appears, instead of reacting with worry, your mind responds with power. When uncertainty arises, your heart remembers faith. When you think about money or opportunity, your awareness naturally returns to wealth. The practice becomes effortless. Another powerful part of the daily practice occurs during the evening. Nighttime is important because the subconscious mind continues working while you sleep. The final thoughts you hold before sleeping often become the instructions your subconscious mind follows throughout the night. So before closing your eyes, take a few quiet minutes. Reflect on your day with gratitude. Even if the day contained challenges, recognize the lessons and the small blessings that appeared. Then speak the 3 words again: wealth, power, faith. Imagine them surrounding you like a peaceful atmosphere. Visualize your future unfolding beautifully. See opportunities arriving, see financial freedom expanding, see your life becoming a reflection of abundance. Then allow your mind to drift into sleep with one final declaration. I am wealth. I am power. I am faith. This nightly affirmation plants powerful seeds in the subconscious mind. During sleep, those seeds begin growing quietly. Ideas may arrive the next morning. Solutions may appear unexpectedly. Inspiration may guide you toward new opportunities. This is how the subconscious mind works when it receives clear instructions. Another helpful practice is writing. Sometimes the act of writing affirmations strengthens their influence even more deeply. Take a notebook and write the 3 words slowly across the page. Wealth, power, faith. Then write sentences that affirm their presence in your life. I live in wealth. My mind expresses power. My heart rests in faith. Writing these declarations allows the mind, body, and emotions to participate together in the transformation. Soon the practice becomes something beautiful rather than something forced. It feels like a daily conversation with the infinite intelligence guiding your life. And gradually, you will begin noticing subtle but unmistakable changes. Your confidence grows. Your creativity awakens. Opportunities appear more frequently. And most importantly, your identity shifts. You no longer feel like someone hoping for abundance. You feel like someone who naturally belongs to abundance. Now repeat these affirmations slowly, allowing them to become part of your daily rhythm. Each morning, I awaken to wealth. Throughout my day, I move with power. Each night, I rest in faith. My thoughts attract opportunity. My words invite prosperity. My mind recognizes solutions everywhere. The universe responds to my awareness of abundance. And now the 3 master words unite once again as the foundation of your daily life. I am wealth. I am power. I am faith. Wealth surrounds me. Power guides me. Faith sustains me. And with this daily practice, your new reality continues unfolding quietly, steadily, and beautifully. Stories of transformation. There is something powerful about hearing how a principle works in the life of another person. Ideas can inspire us, but stories awaken belief. When we see the transformation unfold in someone else's experience, our minds begin to accept that the same transformation is possible for us. Over the years, I have witnessed many lives quietly change through the practice of the 3 master words: wealth, power, and faith. Some of these changes appeared quickly. Others unfolded slowly, like the gradual arrival of spring after a long winter. Yet in every story, the same pattern appeared. First came awareness, then came new words, and finally came new results. One story that remains vivid in my memory is that of a woman named Elena. When she first discovered the practice of the 3 words, she was exhausted by years of financial struggle. She worked diligently, yet every month felt like a race to keep up with bills and responsibilities. I feel like I'm always running uphill, she once said. Her mind had become accustomed to expecting difficulty. When she first heard the words wealth, power, and faith, she admitted that repeating them felt almost unrealistic. After years of struggle, the idea of abundance seemed distant, yet she decided to practice them anyway. Each morning before leaving for work, she stood quietly in front of her window and spoke the declaration, "I claim my wealth, power, and faith now." At first, nothing dramatic happened, but something subtle began to change inside her thinking. She noticed that instead of worrying constantly about money, she began noticing possibilities. She paid closer attention to opportunities at work, and her conversations became more optimistic. Within a few months, her manager approached her with a new responsibility that included a higher salary. It was the first step in a chain of events that eventually transformed her financial situation entirely. When she later reflected on the experience, she said something simple yet profound. The opportunity had probably been there all along, but I didn't see it until my mind changed. Another story involves a young man named Daniel who struggled not with money, but with confidence. He had many creative ideas, yet he rarely acted on them because doubt always appeared first. When he began practicing the 3 master words, the word power resonated deeply with him. He realized that his greatest obstacle was not the world around him, but the voice inside his mind telling him he was not ready. So each morning he repeated a simple affirmation: "I am power. My ideas have value." At first he spoke the words quietly, unsure whether they could truly make a difference, yet repetition began shaping his inner dialogue. Soon he noticed that when a creative idea appeared, he no longer dismissed it immediately. Instead, he explored it. One of those ideas eventually became a small project that grew steadily into a successful business. Years later, he explained his transformation with a smile. "The moment I believed in my power, the world began believing in it too." Then there was Maria, whose greatest challenge was not financial or professional, but emotional. She carried deep worry about the future and often felt anxious about things beyond her control. For her, the word faith became a healing presence. Every evening before sleeping, she repeated the affirmation, "My life is guided by faith." Gradually, the anxiety that once dominated her thoughts began to fade. She felt calmer, more patient, more trusting that life was unfolding in ways she could not always see. This calm state of mind brought unexpected benefits. Her relationships improved, her work became more enjoyable, and opportunities began appearing naturally without the stress that once accompanied them. Maria once described her experience in a beautiful way. "Faith did not just change my future," she said. "It changed how I experienced every day." These stories reveal something important. The 3 master words do not transform life in exactly the same way for every person. For some, the change appears first in finances. For others, it appears in confidence, creativity, or peace of mind. Yet the root of every transformation is the same: a shift in consciousness. When the mind begins to believe in wealth, it starts recognizing abundance. When the mind accepts its power, it begins acting with confidence. When the heart rests in faith, life becomes a journey guided by trust rather than fear. And as these 3 forces unite, the outer world begins reflecting the inner change. Perhaps as you hear these stories, you notice a quiet possibility forming within your own mind. You may begin to imagine how your life could change through the same practice. This imagination is not fantasy. It is the first sign that your subconscious mind is opening to new potential. Allow that possibility to grow. Allow the three master words to take root within your awareness, just as they did in the lives of those who came before you. And repeat these affirmations slowly, letting them become the foundation of your own story. Wealth is awakening in my life. My mind expresses power with confidence. My heart rests in faith. New opportunities appear naturally. Creative ideas guide my path. The universe supports my growth and prosperity. And now, once again, the three master words unite as a declaration of your unfolding transformation. I am wealth. I am power. I am faith. And just as it has happened for many others, your own story of transformation is quietly beginning, where science and spirit meet. For many years, the teachings of spiritual prosperity were misunderstood by those who believed only in the language of science. Some people thought affirmations were simply hopeful thinking. Others believed that repeating words could not possibly influence real-world outcomes. Yet over time, modern research has begun revealing something remarkable. Science is slowly discovering what spiritual teachers understood long ago. The human mind is a powerful creator of experience. The bridge between science and spirituality lies within the mysterious workings of the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind operates quietly beneath your conscious awareness, yet it influences nearly every decision, reaction, and perception you experience. It stores your beliefs. It remembers your emotional patterns. It interprets your repeated thoughts as instructions about how life should unfold. Neuroscientists now understand that the brain constantly reshapes itself through a process known as neuroplasticity. This means that the pathways within your brain change according to the thoughts and beliefs you repeat most often. When a thought is repeated again and again, the brain strengthens the neural pathways associated with that thought. Over time, the thought becomes a belief, and beliefs influence behavior, perception, and opportunity. In other words, the mind becomes wired to create the reality it expects. This discovery perfectly reflects the ancient wisdom behind the three master words, wealth, power, and faith. Each time you repeat these words with conviction, you are strengthening neural pathways associated with abundance, confidence, and trust. Gradually, your brain begins recognizing opportunities it once ignored. Your perception changes, your reactions change, your choices become aligned with the identity you are forming, and these internal changes eventually lead to external results. Psychologists also recognize the powerful influence of what is known as the self-fulfilling prophecy. When a person believes success is possible, they behave in ways that increase the likelihood of success. They take initiative. They remain persistent. They interpret challenges as temporary rather than permanent. But when a person believes failure is inevitable, the opposite occurs. They hesitate. They doubt themselves. They stop trying before opportunities have time to grow. Thus, belief becomes the invisible architect of outcomes. Now consider the three master words again. Wealth trains the mind to expect abundance. Power trains the mind to recognize its ability to act and create. Faith trains the mind to remain calm and confident even before visible proof appears. Together, these words create a mental environment where success becomes natural rather than forced. Science also reveals another fascinating principle. The brain cannot easily distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real experiences. This is why visualization is used by athletes, performers, and entrepreneurs around the world. When the mind vividly imagines success, the brain activates many of the same neural pathways it would use during actual success. This mental rehearsal prepares the mind and body for real-world performance. When you combine visualization with affirmations like wealth, power, and faith, the subconscious mind receives powerful signals about the reality you expect to experience. Your brain begins preparing for that reality. Your awareness begins noticing possibilities that support it, and your actions gradually align with it. But perhaps the most beautiful connection between science and spirituality is the role of emotion. Researchers now understand that emotions amplify memory and learning. A thought repeated with strong feeling leaves a deeper imprint on the mind. This explains why affirmations spoken with emotion are far more powerful than words spoken mechanically. When you say, "I am wealth," and you truly feel the possibility of abundance, the subconscious mind records that feeling as a meaningful instruction. When you say, "I am power," and you feel confidence rising within you, the brain begins strengthening the pathways associated with courage and initiative. When you say, "I am faith," and you feel peaceful trust replacing fear, your entire nervous system begins responding differently to uncertainty. Stress decreases, clarity increases, creativity awakens. These changes are not mystical illusions. They are measurable transformations in the way your brain processes experience. Science and spirituality are simply two different languages describing the same reality. One speaks of neural pathways and psychology. The other speaks of consciousness and divine law, yet both point to the same truth. Your inner world shapes your outer world, and the three master words are tools for guiding that inner world toward abundance. So now, as you repeat the affirmations once again, recognize that you are not only speaking spiritual declarations, you are also shaping the architecture of your mind. Allow each statement to carry both emotional and intellectual conviction. My mind is designed for wealth. My thoughts activate my inner power. My heart lives in faith. My brain learns abundance through repetition. My subconscious mind builds the future I declare. My beliefs guide my actions toward prosperity. And once again, the three master words unite as a bridge between science and spirit. I am wealth. I am power. I am faith. And as these words echo through both mind and heart, the invisible architecture of your future continues taking shape, living the new identity. Now that wealth, power, and faith have taken root in your consciousness, a remarkable transformation begins to occur. You start living as the person who naturally embodies these qualities. This is more than seeing external results. It is an internal shift so profound that life itself begins to respond differently. You no longer approach opportunities with hesitation or fear. Challenges do not appear as obstacles, but as invitations to exercise your creative authority. Your very presence begins to carry a calm certainty that others notice. The shift begins with the mind. Whereas before your thoughts may have been reactive, scattered, or dominated by worry, now your mind functions with clarity and intention. Every choice becomes a conscious reflection of your new identity. You begin noticing the difference in small, everyday ways. A project that once seemed impossible now feels achievable. A conversation that previously caused anxiety now feels easy. Decisions are made swiftly, confidently, and aligned with your inner wisdom. Emotionally, you feel more stable, grounded, and at peace. You experience a quiet joy that is independent of circumstances. Even setbacks are received with grace and curiosity rather than frustration or despair. You understand that life is unfolding according to a higher intelligence, and your role is to align with it rather than resist it. Faith has become a natural posture of your heart. Physically, this identity expresses itself in your energy, posture, and presence. You carry yourself differently, more confidently, more openly, more magnetically. People notice it in your speech, in your gestures, and in your aura. You attract opportunities, resources, and collaborators effortlessly because your internal vibration is aligned with abundance. The new identity also transforms your relationships. Wealth, power, and faith not only affect your personal experience, they influence how others perceive and respond to you. Where there was tension, calm replaces it. Where there was uncertainty, clarity emerges. You become a stabilizing presence, a source of inspiration, and a living example of the principles you now embody. Creativity flourishes naturally. Ideas that were once fleeting now arrive with clarity and precision. The fear of failure no longer blocks your expression because power and faith guide your every action. You find that tasks which once required struggle now flow effortlessly, and solutions appear quickly and reliably. Spiritually, the identity deepens your sense of connection. You recognize that you are not separate from abundance, guidance, or life itself. You are an integral part of the infinite intelligence that sustains the universe. Your experience of life becomes not just a series of events, but a continuous interaction with divine flow. At this stage, affirmations are no longer just spoken, they are lived. Every thought, word, and action reflects your inner reality. You think wealth, you act with power, and you rest in faith. These three qualities become inseparable from who you are. To solidify this new identity, repeat these affirmations daily, allowing them to flow from both mind and heart. I am wealth in all areas of my life. I am power in my thoughts, words, and actions. I am faith, trusting the infinite guidance of life. I move with clarity, confidence, and calm. I see opportunities everywhere, and I act decisively upon them. I attract abundance naturally, effortlessly, and consistently. I am the living embodiment of wealth, power, and faith. When you fully inhabit this identity, life begins to reflect it in ways that may surprise you. Opportunities, relationships, finances, and experiences align naturally with your inner state. Challenges serve as confirmation of your strength, and every day becomes a chance to deepen your alignment. The transformation is complete not when life becomes perfect, but when your response to life consistently reflects the qualities you now embody. You are no longer reacting to events, you are creating the reality you desire. Take a moment now to allow these three master words to merge within you, not as abstract concepts, but as living, breathing realities. I am wealth, I am power, I am faith. With these words, you have not merely learned a practice, you have become a new identity. Life now bends in harmony with your consciousness. You are no longer seeking, you are expressing. You are no longer hoping, you are expecting. You are no longer limited, you are unbounded. And with each day, each thought, and each action, you strengthen the truth of who you are, a being of infinite potential, fully aligned with the abundance, authority, and certainty of life itself. Final declaration. Now, after walking step by step through the awakening of wealth, power, and faith, it is time to speak the ultimate truth aloud, not as a wish, not as a hope, but as a living, breathing declaration of who you are. You are never powerless. You are never at the mercy of circumstance. From the moment you take conscious authority over your thoughts and words, the universe responds faithfully to your inner alignment. Every challenge you have faced, every delay, every limitation has only served to bring you to this moment of realization. You are fully equipped to live as the creator of your own life. The three master words now form the foundation of your being. They are no longer external tools. They are your nature, your voice, your consciousness. They flow through your mind, your heart, your words, and your actions. You do not need to wait for permission, luck, or external validation. You are authorized by life itself to claim your rightful place in the flow of abundance. Repeat these words slowly with every fiber of your being. I am wealth. I am power. I am faith. Wealth is not merely a number in a bank account. It is the recognition that abundance exists everywhere, in every moment, and in every interaction. Wealth is the ability to receive and give freely, to enjoy life without fear, and to create value in ways that inspire and uplift. Power is not the imposition of control over others. It is the quiet certainty that your thoughts, choices, and intentions have creative authority. Power is the inner clarity to know what is yours to create and the courage to act decisively upon it. It is the freedom to choose your response, to speak your truth, and to shape your destiny consciously. Faith is not blind hope. It is the deep, unwavering certainty that the universe is always working on your behalf. Faith is surrendering fear and embracing the invisible intelligence that guides every detail of your life. Faith allows you to relax into the flow of life, trusting that every step, every delay, and every circumstance is aligned with your highest good. As you repeat these declarations, feel them expanding through your entire being. Let them resonate in your mind, fill your heart, and activate your spirit. Let wealth, power, and faith become your identity, your default state, your natural vibration. I am wealth flowing effortlessly through all areas of my life. I am power guiding every thought, word, and action with clarity. I am faith, trusting in the divine intelligence that orchestrates all things. Every cell in my body vibrates with abundance. Every thought I think manifests opportunities aligned with my highest purpose. Every word I speak creates reality in harmony with my desires. From this moment forward, you walk as the living embodiment of these truths. Life no longer happens to you, it happens through you. You are the conscious creator of your experience. You move through challenges with grace, through opportunities with joy, and through each moment with awareness. Let the three master words unite within you one final time, not as separate concepts, but as the full expression of your awakened self. I am wealth. I am power. I am faith. This is your final declaration. Speak it, feel it, live it. From this day forward, nothing can diminish the abundance, clarity, and trust that now define your being. You have stepped into your divine authority. You have claimed your birthright. You have awakened to the infinite possibilities that exist when the consciousness of wealth, power, and faith governs your life. And so it is, and so it shall be, and so it is already done. You are wealth. You are power. You are faith. Your life, from this moment onward, is a reflection of your words, your choices, and the conscious, unstoppable force of your awakened spirit. Walk